Thank you for joining us. As we search for and ponder meaning in our lives, I'd like to share the following quote. A fulfilling life needs the anchor of love, but that love must fuel purposeful living. Love and purposeful living. These words, written by Gordon Zacks, are the message of his book entitled Redefining Moments, End-of-Life Stories for Better Living. His loving daughter, Catherine Zacks Gildenhorn, is the editor-in-chief of Redefining Moments, and she'll tell us more about purposeful living following these messages. With us now is Cathy Gildenhorn. It's such a pleasure to have you with us on the program.
What a pleasure to be here, an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Well, thank you. This book by your father, Redefining Moments, End-of-Life Stories for Better Living. Tell us about it.
Redefining Moments is a real labor of love in every sense of the word, and love and living. And when my father received the news in December of 2013 that he had mere weeks to live, that his prostate cancer had migrated to his liver, had been managed for years, but somehow misbehaved and changed its course of behavior, and he had weeks. He processed the news and viewed end of life as an opportunity to write a second book in 30 days. And Redefining Moments is that book, and it reflects a life of living and opportunity. When he processed the news, he basically did the only thing he knew how to do, live and live well. And Redefining Moments reflects that reality, and Redefining Moments really reflects the reality of his life, which was living with purpose, passion, love, and vitality. And Redefining Moments is a wonderful way of feeling connected to my dad, to myself, and to my life, and to living.
How difficult was it for you, as his daughter, to assist him in this process, in this tragic, painful process of being creative under such conditions?
That's the remarkable side of the book in my mind, for me personally. My work on the book, which was 24/7, my wonderful family, my husband, my children, Edward and Alyssa, and they were so supportive, so loving, and basically I picked up from Bethesda, Maryland, where I'm from, moved to Columbus, Ohio, and camped out there to be with my dad and to live, and to help write the book. And my work on the book kept my father and I so busy living that we didn't have time to be paralyzed by grief and sadness. I was inordinately close to my father, so there was tremendous grief and sadness involved, but I was so busy living, I didn't have time to get stuck. I could be sad, I'd have my moments where it was very difficult, but I was comfortable with what I was doing, and I respected my father and his philosophy of living and of life so deeply and so much that I felt it was an honor and a privilege to be able to help him in his dream of spreading that message to the world. And I think it serves a tremendous public purpose to be able to focus on living and to remove the shroud about end of life and to remove the wasted energy and to allow people to be able to experience joy, purpose, love, laughter, humanity, and opportunity at every stage of life, no matter what shape or form it takes. And yes, it may be a detour. It may be an unplanned detour. My dad in the book says that death is no stranger to any of us, and that in his mind it was an unexpected but not unwelcomed guest, that he had lived and he had not squandered his time, and he felt that while there was so much more to do, he was at peace and comfortable with the life he had lived and felt like the luckiest guy on the planet.
How did he expect this book to influence readers and other individuals who are facing end of life?
3 ways, I'd say. The first way is just by being able to communicate with people and to let them discover their own goals and opportunities and passions and joys and their own moments that they could capture. And if his words were able to help one person find humanity, find joy, find opportunity at the end of life, the entire project would have been a wonderful gift to him and to the world, because if it could change one person, that's really his benchmark. The second way was he always viewed the book as a starting point and the seed material for a website called redefiningmoments.org. And the website is intended as a way to start a new conversation about end of life that focuses on living and living every moment purposefully and lovingly. And the website is a way that people can read about the conversation, read about the book, enter their own thoughts, share their moments, however they're comfortable. And whatever form, given time, are willing to share, whether it's reading, whether it's writing, whether it's dialogue, talking, however they are comfortable is the right way. So between the book and the website, the third goal is to really start a new conversation. And it'll take generations, possibly, where death and end of life isn't something we back away from. But as my father says in the opening words of the book, coming to terms with end of life early and constructively can release considerable positive energy. It also helps many people grapple with significant life planning. Having a positive, clear-headed view of death may help others to live a better, more fulfilling life themselves. It's in that spirit that the observations, questions, and experiences of the following pages are offered. And I really think the extent to which we can start a new conversation as the real goal of the project through the book and through the website is something that is a beautiful legacy and a beautiful mission that I've been given by my dad. He wouldn't agree to write the book if I would not agree to be the editor-in-chief and the designated spokesperson for the book. Well, I never said no to Dad, so I'm here today. But it's my honor and privilege and a labor of love. I'm my own marketer, my own promoter, my own editor. I'm a one-woman show, and I love every second of it. And sometimes it's harder than others. Again, I was saying that it's kept me so busy living. I haven't had time to be paralyzed by grief and sadness, but the grief and sadness is there. And it's a part of life.
Remarkable. How are you distributing it? How do people find this book?
Several ways. It was published by the wonderful publisher of my father's first book, Beaufort Press. And with Beaufort's help, of course, it's now on Amazon, at barnesandnoble.com, and on our website, redefiningmoments.org. If you go to the Get the Book tab, you can download a free sample, you can order the book, whatever makes you comfortable.
You are involved personally in so many endeavors and organizations. And this is really remarkable that you've been focusing so much energy and goodwill and love on this project. But I'd like you to share with our audience some of the many other things you're involved with, please.
One of my favorite achievements is my work. I was on the United States Holocaust Museum Council. during the construction and the opening of the museum in Washington, D.C. And my name is on the cornerstone of the museum. And that is one of my proudest achievements. Since then, I raised my family. I did a number of different things in the community, boards of adoption agencies, a board, the Edna Gladney Center in Fort Worth, Texas, special education board for the Kingsbury Day School and Center in Washington, D.C., Jewish Federation of Greater Washington. I am past Vice President for Women's Philanthropy, the women's group of Federation, and currently sit on the Executive Committee of Greater Washington Federation and on the National Women's Philanthropy Board for the Jewish Federations of North America, JAFNA.
I believe it was your father, or you actually, someone was appointed to a government position or some ambassadorship.
My father, well, actually the appointment to the Holocaust Council is a presidential appointment, but it is an honorary appointment, not a paid position in the government. And I was trying to have kids at the time, so that was a perfect fit. My father turned down an ambassadorship and a cabinet post in the George H.W. Bush administration. His purpose in his political involvement was the same purpose that he had his entire life, the rebirth of the land and the redemption of the people of Israel. So his priority was the rebirth of the land and the redemption of the people of Israel. He turned down the posts in the Bush administration and served as informal advisor to Vice President and then President George H.W. Bush, whereby they met once a month for 12 years to discuss Mideast policy, American-Israel relations, Ethiopian and Soviet Jewry issues, and was very involved for those 12 years in Washington, but declined a more formal post so that he could serve his agenda, which was the rebirth of the land and the redemption of the people of Israel.
Both you and he have been very much involved in Israel as well, knowing all the leaders and so forth. Tell us a little of this.
Well, my father in particular worked with 5 Israeli prime ministers, 3 American presidents, and countless others, some famous, some not. And through the stories and lessons of leadership learned from those adventures, wrote his first book, Redefining Moments, Stories of Character, Courage, and Leadership. And after that, Russell, Robinson, and JNF worked to start the Defining Moments Society, which is a wonderful lay leadership society, which is still in existence today, and have all been various and sundry ways of really being involved in Israel. He traveled to over 100 countries around the world and made over 100 trips to Israel. There's all sorts of stories, some gathered in Defining Moments, some gathered in Redefining Moments, reflecting at various stages of his life the various moments of involvement. But the bottom line is he was passionate, and he was committed and involved and purposeful with Israel. My sister currently lives in Israel with her adorable 7-year-old daughter, Ariella. And so I, too, travel there as frequently as I can, and plan to continue traveling there as frequently as I can.
Cathy, this is most interesting, and I'd like us to continue, but we have to take a break. We'll be right back in a few moments. We're back with Cathy Gildenhorn. Cathy, tell us about the celebration of life moments you were mentioning earlier.
The celebration of life moments were wonderful, warm, loving, unique opportunities to really express love, gratitude, closure, laughter, and to share stories and lessons. And the first Celebration of Life event that I attended was for my mother. And my mother, Carol Sue, passed January 1st, 2012. And in December of 2011, we had planned an enormous celebration, not enormous, but a large celebration of life event in Florida. 100 people flew down to be there and share in the moment. The night before, I got a call from my father that we were going to the emergency room, that my mother had taken a turn for the worse, and she never made it out of the emergency room. We used something at that time that we speak of in the book called social ingenuity, which was basically creative ways to find joy, love, opportunity, and humanity. And we convinced the hospital, and we rigged up a video hookup. My mom's sister came, brought her beautiful red long dress, put it over her in the hospital bed, sat there with her, and videotaped. My father and I hosted the Celebration of Life event in Florida for the 100 people or 150 that have flown down. And it was a warm, wonderful way to share love and laughter and stories. Mom saw the entire thing, loved it, felt joy, felt humanity. And my son, Edward, had written a beautiful song for his grandmother called Lucky Star. And he was able to play the song. She heard it, she clapped, and then we all went afterwards to the hospital. And again, he could play, and she could hear, and she could experience joy. It was beautiful. And she went from there to hospice and passed within 4 or 5 days. Having that experience, my parents' wonderful friends and our family were familiar with Celebration of Life and what it was. Well, we hosted, when Dad got the news in December of 2013 that he had weeks to live, he wanted Celebration of Life event, and we toyed with a larger event and realized that this may not be the best way for my dad right now based on his health. And the rabbi came over and helped us redesign the Celebration of Life event from 150 or 200 in a room to 3 smaller events of 30, 40 in our living room. And I think there were actually 4 with anything from 20 to 50 or 20 to 40 people in the living room. And Dad could come and go based on how long he could be there. Well, Dad, being a purposeful, loving guy he was, got himself dressed. We thought he'd come out in a robe, came out and impeccably dressed, beautiful suit, tie, shirt, pocket square, the whole thing looking just fabulous, like he was appreciating every moment of life and could share every moment. They were the coldest days in decades in Columbus, Ohio, and the warmth was overpowering. And I was fortunate to be the MC for several of these events. And when you open your heart and soul to others, it's amazing the intimacy and the warmth and the openness that people can proceed, and the stories. Some beautiful quotes are captured in the book Redefining Moments, but the warmth of the memory changed all of our lives for the better, and it's just a treasured moment for everyone that was in the room.
Education is so critically important, and inspiration, such as what is provided in this book, obviously as well. Speaking of education, you're quite involved in that area as well. Tell our audience.
Well, I'm involved in education as much by legacy as by anything else. My grandmother of blessed memory, Florence Zacks Gildenhorn, started these wonderful adult mini schools, the Florence Melton Adult Mini School.
I need to interrupt you for a second and just mention Small World, Florence Melton, a wonderful lady, and Sam, they supported the Shalom Show.
Oh, that's such wonderful news. And they had such an eye for talent and such an eye for initiatives and creativity that was really going to help make the Jewish community and the Jewish world a better place and a more fruitful place. So I'm not surprised.
How do you see the challenges facing Jewish life in general with regard to education? For example, why is it essential that neither Jew nor Gentile be permitted to forget, speaking of Holocaust Remembrance, that the atrocities perpetrated against the Jewish people and others? So why is it essential that no one be permitted to forget that these atrocities did take place? Why do you feel that education is so important?
I feel that education, starting at the top, is the pivotal key to Jewish continuity. And part of that is from the way I've been raised, from my grandmother with the Florence Melton Adult Mini Schools. My father, after my grandmother passed, then took over the chairmanship of it, of the Florence Melton Adult Mini Schools. And through that work, I think that I have found that education is the key to the future. And in that vein, I look at Holocaust Remembrance. And I feel that remembrance is a way of honoring, of course, those that perished in the Holocaust and those that survived the atrocities, but also a way of educating future generations so that we can improve the world, and that the chances of this happening are never, there's no guarantees that this isn't going to happen again, but there are ways of minimizing it or of educating people to enlarge their vision of the world so that humanity is something that's more important than any in particular intolerance.
Back to this wonderful book, Redefining Moments. Tell our audience again how they can obtain it, where it's found.
Redefining Moments is available at redefiningmoments.org. If you hit the Get the Book tab, you can order from barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, download a free sample, and you can go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon directly. But it's really through redefiningmoments.org that you can join the conversation, get the book, read about Gordon Zacks, and some of the wonderful stories that we've been able to share about his life, and the wonderful lessons and the wonderful contributions that he has blessed us with. It is also a way of hearing. At his funeral, Natan Sharansky gave beautiful graveside remarks that are available on the website. Governor John Kasich of Ohio spoke, gave a eulogy, as did the Honorable Dick Allen. Those are all available on the website. So there's a wealth of information. Stories about my father's meetings with the Rebbe are available through clicking on the website. So it's really a wealth of information.
The internet is such an essential resource these days. It makes things so much easier with regard to research and being in touch with history, present issues, and so forth. Cathy, all that you're doing for the Jewish community in promoting education and all your other endeavors, including Redefining Moments, is all so very important, most commendable. I want to thank you so very much for being with us on the Shalom Show.
Thank you so much, Richard. It is an honor and a privilege, as I said in the beginning of our meeting. And I just thank you for all you're doing for the Jewish people.
Well, thank you. The honor is mine.
The honor is mine.
This concludes our special program for today from On Location in South Florida. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.